The Nigerian Professional Football League will be starting on January 8th, and it's going to be an ABRIDGE league. Right now, the draw has been made, and Nigerians can't wait to see that particular day coming to pass. But right now, all the NPFL clubs are already resuming for training, even though they were like they will not be playing. But now, everyone is resuming back to see how they can get their best when it comes to the NPFL. 100 million at stake in the NPFL for this season. Welcome you on the show, 360 Sport. On Trust TV, I am Adeni Ajishafe. The first story we'll be looking at has to do with the NPFL ABRIDGE League. Clubs resume training ahead of January 8th kickoff, where all the teams, 20 teams, they've been at least separated into two groups, Group A and B, and they'll be fighting both in the northern side and the southern part of Nigeria to see who will win this 100 million naira on ground. Well, quickly, let's look at the NPFL club's venue, the venue for each club for this season. Let's start from, let's look at those club venue quickly, as we have the 10 team from this side. You have Kwara United at Lekon Salami Stadium. They will play in Ibadan, not in Ilorin. You have Akwa United at Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo. Remo Stars will be in Ikene at Remo Stars Stadium. Sunshine Stars will maintain their stadium in Akure at the Akure Township Stadium. Gombe United, Pantami Stadium in Gombe. Niger Tornadoes will be moving to Kaduna, Ahmadu Bello Stadium in Kaduna there. Rivers United at Dokia Messiah Market Stadium in Port Harcourt. Awka Stadium will be hosting Rangers International, who will not be playing in Enugu. Now they will be playing in Anambra State, in Awka precisely. El Kanemi Warriors, they will be playing at home, El Kanemi Stadium in Maiduguri, while Abia Warriors at Umuahia Stadium in Umuahia. While still talking about the NPFL, we have other teams that will be playing. Well, we have Doma United, who will also be sharing the same stadium there. They'll be playing at the Pantami Stadium, also in Gombe. Eyimba International at their stadium in Aba. Nasarawa United will go to Jos, where they'll be playing their trade. New Jos Stadium in Plateau State. Wiki Tourists of Bauchi, they will be at the Abubakar Tafawa Balewa Stadium in Bauchi. Plateau United, the home state, yes, they will be playing at the New Jos Stadium there, where they'll be at least having Nasarawa United to also share the stadium with, alongside Lobby Stars, who will also be sharing that particular stadium with New Jos Stadium over there in Plateau State. Shooting Stars, Lekon Salami Stadium in Ibadan, alongside Kwara United. You have Bende Insurance of Benin, they are back to the NPFL Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City. Dakada FC, Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo, alongside Akwa United. While you have Bayelsa United, they'll be playing the Samson Sia Stadium in Yenagoa, where they'll be fighting for honors there. Showing you all the NPFL clubs who will be fighting for honors in the NPFL. January 8th, D-Day is really edging closer, and we just can't wait to see NPFL back to life. Well, I have in the studio the person of Suleiman Shuaibu. Good to have you.
Good to be here. It's always a pleasure to be up on 360 Sports.
Good one. We just talked about the NPFL there, and really the clubs are back in training. They are trying to, before the draw was made, a lot of clubs were like, well, they won't play, they will play, they won the straight league and all that. But after that particular draw was done in Abuja, they all agreed that, okay, we'll be playing. So by January 8th, they will be fighting hard to see who will win the ABRIDGE League, 100 million on ground.
First of all, when you look at the timestamp of all these things, it actually seems laughable to an extent, because the tournament is meant to kick off on January 8th, and they are resuming training January 2nd. Honestly, it's absurd, it's unheard of. First of all, how are they going to get themselves in tune to match fitness before the tournament comes up? And there have been so many questions. These are things that are not encouraging when you're an NPFL fan and you're looking forward to the season, because you want to see players play to their best. You want to see players play to their maximum capabilities. But players that have trained for just 1 week, are you going to see them at top form? Are you going to see that sharpness that you expect? So when they are doing things like that, we're looking at ways to encourage and motivate people to watch this league. As an outsider, if I'm seeing that you are resuming training January 1st or January 2nd, and the league is resuming January 8th, please tell me, Mr. Adeni, will you be interested or fascinated to watch this game? Let's be very honest with ourselves. So that's one of the things that actually discourages people and demotivates people from watching this league. We're looking at making this thing global. We're looking at taking this thing to the next level. Let's have as many football fans in Nigeria that watch the Premier League, watch the local leagues. How is it going to happen when I'm seeing headlines like this? That's just the honest truth.
Well, NPFL, either we like it or not, just have to start because CAF Champions League, CAF Confederation, the one they call CAF Interclub competition, we need to get those slots, and we just have to play our league now. No matter how we're going to, either we crawl or we run or even speed, whatever you want to do or fly, we just have to get there. No matter how it is, that's why they quickly had to come up with the ABRIDGE League for us to see how they can do this, and we wait to see January 8th. Well, let's see if the league truly will be starting, because in Nigeria anything can actually happen. We just hope that we get it right. NPFL this season, according to IMC, Interim Management Committee, they said that they will be making sure all the referees will be getting paid as at when due. In fact, before they step their feet on the stadium to actually refer games, they will be getting paid. And right now, according to it, what we actually have, they have sponsors who will be bankrolling the league for the season, and hopefully everything will go well with our league. Well, be on TV, and also they've rolled out all the rules and regulations, although we'll be bringing you that to you subsequently. But right now, let all the teams continue to train within the 6 days they have, and let's have the NPFL back, no matter how it is. Like we say in Nigeria, at all, not ain't bad. Well, from there, let's move away from the NPFL and talk about the Premier League. Matches will be coming up. Let's look at those fixtures that will be coming up tonight as we look at the EPL. Premier League fixtures for you there. Arsenal against Newcastle United. A big one there. Arsenal in first place on the log versus Newcastle United, who right now are seeing that they can actually stand with the big boys on the log table there. Everton, Brighton, Leicester City, Fulham. You have Manchester United against AFC Bournemouth. Those are the matches for this evening.
So first of all, when you look at Arsenal Newcastle, is the most mouth-watering fixture there. Every single person is looking forward to that match. Look at Arsenal, who are title contenders, and look at Newcastle, who are title pretenders, because we know they are not winning the title. But when you look at Arsenal, I think this is one of their biggest tests yet, because when you look at fixture congestion, when you look at playing matches back-to-back, you look at one of their star man, one of the most integral part of their team, Gabriel Jesus is missing. Nketiah has stepped up. And look at Newcastle, how well they've played. They've had very, very good matches. They've had games where they've showed that there's a possibility that they might make it to the Champions League next season. All due respect to Eddie Howe, he's doing a fantastic job. But when I look at Arsenal, Newcastle, I think I'll have to swing the pendulum towards Arsenal. Because when you look at the momentum they have, how well they've been playing, they look like a side that could eventually go on to win the league. So I think Arsenal will nick it from Newcastle, but it's going to be an incredibly tight game. Very, very tight game. Look at Everton and Brighton. Now, Everton, they've been abysmal, they've been horrendous this season. But when you look at the fact that they drew with Manchester City, that is going to boost their confidence, that is going to motivate them. It's also going to give them at least a glimmer of momentum going against the Brighton game. Brighton have been excellent this season. We've seen intricacies in their play. We've seen how well they play with each other. We've seen the chemistry there. So Everton versus Brighton, the fact that Everton won against Man City, it just gives them more momentum and that push. But I feel Brighton, what they have in their arsenal is just too much for Everton. Leicester City, Fulham. Leicester City, they've missed out on probably what you would call their best player. And look at how well they've been playing. They've been shocking. They've been horrendous. And Fulham, they've had so much victory. They've had resounding success this season. They are ninth on the table. Mitrovic is going to come back. He's been a focal point for them. What they have for me is just too much for Leicester. And Madison has not come back, so they lack creativity in the midfield. Manchester United and Bournemouth. The story about Manchester United this season has been Marcus Rashford. We know how incredible he's been throughout this season. He's one of the most difficult players to nullify or neutralize in the Premier League. When he comes on the wing, he's nightmarish. He beats your best defenders. He's scoring goals. He's assisting. Bruno Fernandes has picked up the pace. Casemiro has been their focal point in midfield. He has been responsible for a transition from defense to attack for them, and he has done a formidable and a resounding job. So for me, I just feel what Ten Hag is building is just too much for Bournemouth, and they might struggle to cope with the pressure of Manchester United. How well Manchester United will connect with that front line of Anthony Martial, Anthony and Rashford, and how well the chemistry they have with the midfield and the attack. So I'm just looking at it and I'm just saying they have too much in the tank, and they'll just assert their superiority and dominance against Bournemouth. So Manchester United wins.
I just have to cut
convincingly. Manchester United wins convincingly.
From the way it is, what we have on the screen there, those fixtures, a fantastic one, but if you place it beside the table, looking at how it is, Arsenal, they are first on the log. You can't take that away from them. Really, they've shown like million stars, surprising everyone so far this season after playing 16 matches. And you have Newcastle, even though he calls them pretenders, but really, it's not easy to be a pretender in EPL for them fighting to stand third on the log.
After 30 matches, you know why I call them pretenders. After 30 matches.
Okay, let's look at the way the table is once again so that we can look at the matches. Arsenal, Newcastle. Newcastle are having 34, Arsenal they have 43, and if you look at the way it is, they have good, at least 8 points thereabout, if I'm not mistaken there. And now, rather 7 points. And now you look at Arsenal, Newcastle. Newcastle are hoping that, yes, maybe they can do it. Arsenal will be looking at, well, we don't want anyone to dent our run, our good run for so far this season. Do you think, like, I know you want to tilt towards Arsenal winning this game?
But the thing with Arsenal is that, first of all, they'll have in mind that they have upcoming fixtures. They have Manchester City coming up, and they also have Manchester United, who's the only side that has beaten them this season, coming up in their next 5 fixtures. So they are going to look at that and say, we cannot afford to lose points against Newcastle, and they have more to fight for. They have more to prove. They want to win this league. They have to dismiss sides like Newcastle and Man United to at least set that expectation to the fans and the footballing world that we have come here to top this league and we're not going anywhere for anybody. So I just feel what they have is too much for Newcastle at the end.
Well, now looking at it, the 9 points are between Newcastle and Arsenal, right?
Yes, sir.
That 9 points, if Newcastle should win tonight, that's if, the underlying word, they will have 37.
They'll have 37 and find themselves in second position. Which is something, a prospect that nobody saw coming this season. But I just feel that even if they win, there are so many matches coming up. You look at squad depth, fixture congestion because of the World Cup. So how well are they going to cope with so many fixtures coming up back to back? And their players are not experienced in this kind of position. Can they deal with the pressure? Look at Manchester United, Liverpool, Tottenham. They have experienced players who have been in this position, done it before several times. So that's one of the things, the mentality, I don't feel is able to cope with this kind of pressure. That's why I just feel. I believe Arsenal will win this game, but even if Newcastle do win this game, I still believe Man City and Man United will catch up to them and they go lower on the table.
Now, while we are looking at that, if we go Everton and Brighton, funny enough, Brighton are standing 10th on the log. They have 24 points, playing 16 matches, and if you flip it, Everton are the other side of the of the league. They actually standing 16th on the log, but they are home at the Goodison Park.
So one of the reasons why I feel they win this game is how well they asserted themselves against Man City, because everybody thought that that match was probably going to be a pushover and a formality for Man City. But we could see that in the second half they picked up the pace. Gueye and Gray, Iwobi, they did phenomenal things in midfield. So I believe the potential of this team. When you look at this team, man for man, they have a better first 11 than Brighton. It's not even close. It's not a question. It's not a debate. So I just feel that when they kick into gear, when they get things kicking, the fact that they were able to draw against Man City, I believe that they will be able to do the job against Brighton. Brighton are still favourites, don't get me wrong, but I believe that if they can achieve their potential with their squad lineup, they can do the job.
They can do the job if they really want to fight hard. But really, Leicester City will also be doing their own against Fulham. And you look at the way the table is really standing. Well, Leicester will actually fight hard. They are standing 13th on the log, and a big one there for Leicester City. And if you go to the way Manchester United really have been performing so far this season, they stand a chance to also beat Bournemouth. Looking at the current table standing, Bournemouth are 15 on the log. Manchester United, if you look at the way they are among the big boys over there in the EPL, and nothing can be taken away from that.
When you look at Leicester City, I believe that they need a rejuvenation. They need a refreshed squad. They need more players to come in. They need new faces. I think Harvey Barnes has not been the player we know is capable of this season. Jamie Vardy does not just have the legs anymore. We thought that Jamie Vardy will run forever. Well, he can't run anymore. And Maddison is probably their most important player, and he's been injured since the World Cup. So him linking up their play from midfield to attack and creating chances, he hasn't been there. Manchester United, I'm a Manchester United fan, and I'm going to say this, Marcus Rashford. I said this when I came up on the show. I said that Marcus Rashford at the end of the season will be in the conversation amongst top 5 players for the season.
Now, does it mean, you know, I still remember when Ronaldo left Madrid, Benzema got his groove. You understand? He was doing all the assists, he was doing all the dirty work, but afterwards, he took over the mantle of leadership in Real Madrid, and at least Ballon d'Or awaited him, he got it. Now, Marcus Rashford, he nearly moved away from Manchester, and I still remember all the stories surrounding
speculations.
Yes, but now, Marcus Rashford seems to have gotten his own groove too after Ronaldo left.
Okay, so to be honest, I always go on Twitter Spaces and stuff like this. I bash Marcus Rashford a lot because I'm not a Marcus Rashford fan, but this guy has been heavily consistent. I remember that he had a complaint last season. He had the back injury. He said that when he was playing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, things did not really go their way. They had to play through pain, play through injuries. But if you look at Marcus Rashford closely, the best I've ever seen of Marcus Rashford personally was his first season under Jose Mourinho, where he actually usurped Martial on the left wing. Because Martial was a regular left wing player, but he usurped Martial because he kept on delivering consistently consistent performances. I'm seeing the Marcus Rashford of the 2015-2016 season, the 2016-2017 season. That's the Marcus Rashford I'm seeing. And if he brings back that ability, that nightmarish figure to beat players on the one-on-one position and finishing chances, very difficult chances, then definitely Marcus Rashford, without a shadow of a doubt, he has nothing to do with Ronaldo. I just feel for the first time in a very long time, we're seeing a very fit, focused, and the right mentality for Marcus Rashford. I don't think Ronaldo is in the equation.
Well, from the way it is right now, let's see what Rashford will be doing tonight for Manchester United at Old Trafford. Matches will be coming up there, just unveiling those matches for you to have a feel of those fixtures. And really, Leicester, they need to up their game right now if they are to really get out of that angle where they belong to the lower cadre. Well, we've been giving you all that. Quickly, let's talk about Spanish Copa del Rey, where they'll be fighting for that particular cup, the one they call Copa in Spanish. Copa del Rey fixture: Celta de Vigo away to Espanyol in Barcelona City. FC Cartagena against Villarreal, where you have Samuel Chukwueze. Will he be scoring also? Valencia away from Mestalla Stadium to La Nucia. You have AD Ceuta FC against Elche. Casareno versus Real Madrid, the Los Merengues, as they call them. Getafe away to Levante, while Sporting Gijon, you remember Sporting Gijon, the late Rashidi Yekini played for that club, with Rayo Vallecano. They will also be fighting hard in that Spanish Copa del Rey fixtures. That will actually roll out there for you. Well, I think attention want to be on Real Madrid, Casareno, Valencia, La Nucia, Villarreal versus Cartagena. Those matches, they are playing against the big boys. A lot of attention will be on those games.
For sure, 100%. Real Madrid, we know the squad depth they possess. We have Camavinga, Valverde will probably start. They'll rest Toni Kroos and Luka Modric. So I believe that they win Casarino convincingly. Valencia will probably win La Nucia because we know the team they possess. Villarreal here, FC Cartagena, they'll probably end up winning the game. So when we get to the early rounds of fixtures, it's not as interesting as mouth-watering as we expect it to be. But in later rounds, and you touched on Chukwueze. One of the reasons Chukwueze is not as successful as he has the potential to become is that, and I think this is something that happens with so many Nigerians. I feel they are avoiding or neglecting or ignoring the technical side of the game because so many Nigerian footballers do not have that technical ability. I can only go to Osimhen and Iwobi, and we know that Osimhen plays for Napoli, so maybe that's the reason. But moving forward, I think coaches and Nigerian footballers need to focus more on the technical side of the game rather than the aggressive side of the game. So I think Villarreal, Cartagena, Villarreal will probably win the game.
Okay, good one there. Looking at those fixtures, fantastic, juicy matches there in the Spanish Copa del Rey. Well, and also we've unveiled the EPL, and forgetting all the games that will be coming up tonight. Now, let's quickly talk about some transfer story. Yes, the January window is open, and a lot of clubs can buy players or they can sell. We talk about a very young lad. His name is Maximo Perrone. Right now, Manchester City are set to sign Argentine midfielder Maximo from Vélez Sarsfield. Sarsfield is an Argentine club. The 19-year-old midfielder, fantastic player, is really interesting Pep Guardiola, and he wants to move in and get him.
So I've seen glimpses of Maximo, but the thing is that when you look back at 2004, before Manchester United signed Ronaldo, Jorge Mendes had a meeting with Sir Alex Ferguson. He said in the Ronaldo documentary and said that, can Sir Alex Ferguson assure him that Ronaldo will get 50% of the game? Sir Alex Ferguson said yes, Ronaldo went to Manchester United. I'm looking at Maximo, looking at what is at stake, looking at what Manchester City are playing for this season. They want to win the Champions League. There aren't any easy games coming to this season. Is he realistically going to get 50% or even 40%? So I feel at this point, this is not the best deal for him. He needs to stay at Vélez Sarsfield for at least maybe one more season and look at potential offers that come from other clubs, because he might not get a sniff of a game at Manchester United. If you look at what's on the line, at Manchester City, sorry. If you look at what's on the line and what's at stake. So I think it will make more sense for his own career to stay at Vélez Sarsfield for at least one more season.
Well, let's see what will be happening if Manchester City will actually be gunning for that young lad. 19-year-old midfielder, really doing well for Vélez there, and now they want to go for him. Pep Guardiola knows how to get all these young starlets. Now, we talk about a player who really did well at the World Cup. He shone like million stars alongside the likes of Enzo Fernandez, Lionel Messi, and all of them. But really, his name that sounds like very English, but he's from Argentina. Alexis McAllister plays for Brighton. According to the coach, he says, Roberto De Zerbi, I hope Alexis McAllister stays till the end of this season, because a lot of speculation concerning him moving away. Clubs are really knocking at the door of Brighton to get this fantastic McAllister out of the hand of Brighton?
So when we always have international competitions, the World Cup, the Euros, the Champions League, we know that it's going to be exhibited or recognized on the global stage. And there are two things you can do for your career. It's either you raise the price tag of yourself or you drastically deduct the price tag of yourself. And what saw McAllister do, he was in the starting 11. He came up with some clutch goals. He was probably one of the most integral figures of that midfield. We saw how well he ran the game, the partnership he had with fellow midfielders, with Rodrigo de Paul. But I'm just looking at it and saying that he shouldn't get ahead of himself. I don't think he needs to rush to a big move. Let him prove that he's capable of being in this Brighton team. They are 10th in the table this season. There's a possibility, it's quite minuscule, that they finish in the top 8. Let him prove that he's capable of being an integral or a pivotal figure in this team, finishing at least maybe 8th or 9th in the season. Then he actually raises his stakes higher, not just from a competition that had 8 games or 9 games. People can say that it could be beginner's luck. It's probably his first international tournament. People can say that he was riding on the waves of Lionel Messi, Rodrigo de Paul, and all these other fantastic players. So I would say to him that he stays to the end of the season with Brighton, and definitely, we know the kind of player he is, we know the caliber of talent he has, will definitely have potential offers from other places.
But I don't think there are some offers that are so juicy that...
But I haven't really seen the offers. He hasn't gotten an offer from Real Madrid, Barcelona, Juventus, PSG, Manchester City. So you're looking at the teams he has gotten and saying, are they quite better off than Brighton right now? Maybe they are 10th in the Premier League.
Maybe he's trying to at least see if I can move from this particular step to this particular step. Who knows, from there I can get to the hierarchy of the big boys.
The thing is that he needs to be careful with what he decides for his next move. He doesn't want to be labelled the next big flop. We saw what happened in Luka Modric when he went to Real Madrid 2013. He was labelled as the flop of the season. But I don't think that's what he wants. And you might end up doing something that is detrimental rather than beneficial for your career if you rush things. So I think he needs to have a sit down with his agents and the people advising him.
So all those that attack Luka flop, what would they be saying now?
No, now he's one of the greatest midfielders the game has ever seen. I'm just saying that lightning does not strike twice.
Whatever happened to Luka can actually happen to him. But the main thing right now is just that, well, clubs are coming for Brighton. McAllister, really, we saw what he did at the World Cup. He really deserved those accolades. After all, James Rodriguez also had his own time while he went to the World Cup, and Real Madrid went for him. Well, from there, let's talk about 2 players. Really, they've done well for their club this season. One is French and one is English. Bukayo Saka and William Saliba right now. They are right now activated clauses, extended deals for Bukayo Saka and William Saliba by extra year. That's coming from Arsenal, the Gunners, who are really gunning everyone down in the EPL. Well, by the time the year ends, they want to stay, at least let them stay 1 year before the main contract deal they'll be offering them. And that has been activated. Good one for Arsenal.
First of all, they are not gunning down everybody. They did not gun down Manchester United. Let me remind you of that. They did not gun down Manchester United. But back to what we're saying.
But at least, even though Man U won, right?
Yeah.
Winning Man United, Arsenal. Who is at the top now?
It doesn't matter. You said they are going down everybody and they're not going down Manchester United.
They wouldn't want to agree. But really, from the way it is, they've been able to find their way to the top.
Okay, so interesting, Bukayo Saka. Now, one of the things that Arteta did that really impressed me is that Nicolas Pepe, we understand how talented this guy is, we understand the ability he possesses, but he let Nicolas Pepe go, and Saka has probably stamped his authority, warranted that he should be starting on the right side. So he has been very, very incredible for Arsenal this season. He's come up with not just goals, but clutch goals at very important moments, winning goals, starting goals. So the fact that they are extending his contract by a year is great for Bukayo Saka, it's great for Arsenal, it's a win-win for everybody. Saka wants to stay there, Arteta wants him to stay there, the fans want him to stay there, and the team obviously wants him to stay there. That's why they're extending his contract. And you also look at Saliba. Now, it's going to be an interesting conversation who goes into the Premier League team of this season, because we have 3 players who have been probably the best defenders this season. You have Akanji of Man City, nobody really saw that coming. You have Lisandro Martinez of Manchester United, they call him the Butcher, and you have Saliba of France, of Arsenal. So you look at these 3 players, 2 are going to go into the Premier League team of the season. For me, I feel Saliba has been probably the best and he's in the winning team for the Premier League. So it's a win-win situation also for Arsenal. He wants to stay, Arteta loves him, the fans loves him, and the team loves him. But it's going to be very interesting to see who becomes the Premier League defender of the season at the end of the season. Will it be Saliba or Lisandro Martinez? Very interesting conversation.
We've been talking about Arsenal right now. The Gunners are topping the league. You can't take that away from them. And right now also, 2 players, they've tried to at least activate their clauses to make sure they stay before they finally give them a long-term contract coming from the team called Arsenal there. And now a Nigerian striker who actually plays straight formerly with Watford, moved away from Watford to join Nottingham Forest. But right now, news came out. Now Nottingham Forest are willing, yes, they are willing to let this particular player, talking about Emmanuel Dennis, to leave 5 months after joining them. He has not been finding it easy since he joined them, alongside Taiwo Awoniyi and other team players. But really, Nottingham Forest are not, they won't mind if any club can come for Emmanuel Dennis. But one fact remains, Emmanuel Dennis actually played for Watford this season. He has played for Nottingham Forest, and if he is to stay back, it won't be allowed, because to move to another EPL club will not be allowed. Play for 3 different clubs in the season will not be part of the standard set by EPL rules and regulation. It's either he goes back to Watford that he has played for this season, or he moves out from EPL and plays straight abroad. So
obviously everybody saw this coming, because you look at Nottingham Forest, to have an identity, you need to have a squad that has been set up and they've been consistency in the formation. But they came to the Premier League, they got 11 players or so. I can't really blame them, because so many of their players were coming towards the end of their contract. They loaned a lot of players, they had to send them back to their team. But we saw this coming, but it's always painful and it's always ridiculously difficult to take in when you see Nigerian players who are not striving as well as they are capable of. So for Dennis Rodman, exactly, I would love to know how many offers. I've not done enough research on him to know how many offers are right now available for him, but I don't think they are much, because I've had conversations with certain people. I don't think he has many offers. I don't think there are many teams out there that want him.
For the club to even come out that they are willing, whoever comes, that's a big one. And right now, that particular deal is a bit tied to something. It just has to be an outside EPL or back to Watford. Talking about Emmanuel Dennis there. That will be it on 360 Sports. We've been with Suleiman Shuaibu. Good to have you.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, I am.